censer. Gabriel came with tidings and saying, you accepted his word in calmness and wisdom. He dwelt by his word in strength and power. You became like heaven, O daughter of Zion. He saved Adam after his sorrow and has freed the world. We rejoice in you. He is glorified and promised his apostles to save his people from Satan's bondage. Your love embraced me, O pride of nations. Moses has seen you, O Mary, surprise and marvel. And the lambs are bright with golden crosses. O Mary, Moses' dome, O Aaron censer. My heart rejoices in you, O Virgin Mary. Ask your Son Jesus to protect me by his might, existing before the ages, suffered and was crucified. He rose from his sleep, and the disciples preach. Moses and Daniel said many parables, and you fed all the mysteriously and more. You caused the world to shine, oh, the pride of faith. All the creatures were free because of you, Mary. Do not forsake at that time a poor and humble sinner. Intercede on Judgment Day for all the Christians. We ask of him forgiveness, faith and repentance, to be in calmness with the believers. سبني حبك يا فخر الرتاب. موسى رآك يا مريم عجب من عجب. الأناديل الفضة بتضوي والصلبان دهب. but you went to Calvary. Who else paid my debt, carried my iniquity? And you promised me you're coming very soon to take me to heaven for eternity. No eye has seen another God like you. No eye has seen another God like you.
It is with great joy that we have with us today our guest speaker, Dr. Ayman Hanna. Dr. Ayman Hanna is a psychiatrist and a beloved servant here in St. Mary and St. Mina, and he's going to speak to us a word. And so we lift up our hearts to receive the word and that the Holy Spirit may speak on his mouth. Thank you. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, amen.
بسم الآب والابن والروح القدس الآن واحد آمين. The talk tonight is going to be about anger and depression. So let's start with why it really matters to talk about it. Mostly, anger is a normal feeling, but overreacting and getting the anger out in a bad form can really destroy relationships and affect the person. So let's talk about the impact of anger and the depression on ourselves. God has created in us something called reflex fight or flight, which is to protect us and to help us to survive. That would work through hormonal system and neurons in our brains to get us ready and to survive if there is like a threat, fire, something attacking you. So that to help us to survive. And it is good for the brief time that it works. It works through our perception, our hormones, to get us really ready. It affects the muscles, the heart, the eyes, the attention, everything in us. But the problem with that is that if we keep that system working for a long time, it has a negative impact on us. And the anger and the depression affect that system and make it working for a long time, which would have negative impact on the body. So physically, the anger and the depression can affect our body, our systems. It can affect blood pressure. It can cause stomach ulcers. It can cause inflammation. It can cause diabetes. It can cause the metabolic syndrome, because too much cortisone floating in our system has its own side effects. As we all know, cortisone is good anti-inflammatory for a brief time, but if you take cortisone for a long time, it has a lot of side effects. So the same way anger and the depression create that cortisone to be floating in our system for a long time can cause coronary artery disease, hypertension, can actually also cause fat to be in the abdomen, okay? Lower the immune system. So those are the physical side effects of the anger and depression. Also affects our brain. Logical decision making can be affected by the anger. You would be very hypersensitive. It affects your attention span. It affects your performance at work. It can damage relationship. Anger can damage relationship. When you are angry at home, it can create fear in your spouse and in your children. If you are angry at work, you can lose your job, you can get fired. So it really impacts every aspect in our lives. So that's why it is very important to take notice on how to deal with the anger and the depression. Why are we connecting anger and the depression in that talk? Anger can be the mask of the depression. Like you see someone angry and snapping and very irritable, and he would tell you, I'm not depressed, I'm just snapping, I'm pissed off, I cannot tolerate people in general. But if you dig deeper inside that person, most likely there is depression. Okay? So they are so connected, and sometimes it is the early signs of depression when you see some changes in the person's behavior and would be snapping and very irritable easily. So that's why they are well connected together. I want to focus more on us, how to help ourselves and how to help someone with anger. So it would be practical points so we can walk out of this lecture with something to help us dealing with that. When you are noticing someone in your family or at work or friend snapping or getting irritable or getting angry easily, first thing to do is to validate their feelings. Validation of the emotion is very, very helpful. Actually, it de-escalates the anger about 30 to 40% when you are recognizing and addressing and validating that person's anger. So instead of saying, calm down, or you are overreacting, instead of using those words, you can say, I hear there is something really bothering you. Your reaction tells me that this is very, very important to you. And instead of just giving the advice, calm down, or you are overreacting or so, you are addressing that there is a problem that he's going through and he's being listened to. So validation of that feeling is very important than just get over it or you're overreacting or just calm down, okay? Second thing we can do is to help that person or to help ourselves to identify the trigger. What usually happens that trigger that anger? Very important. Some of the triggers could be physical, could be hunger, could be fatigue, could be overworked. So we have to address those things. The way to help someone is to try after the anger is over, or if there is a pattern, what usually gets you angry, you can go back and look what was the trigger. So it could be a physical trigger, which is simple to identify, or it could be that he is feeling ignored or disrespected. One important thing here is that that person usually have two problems. Or the most common, not only those, but most common things is that he is taking everything personal. They are very hypersensitive. They feel that everything happening around them has something to do with them. So taking everything personal can make that person quick to anger. So if you are able to help them not to look at everything personal, can help. The other thing that also important with that person, sometimes they are after perfectionism. They are very perfect in everything and a little bit too controlling, and they want to get everything their way. And when it is not their way, that trigger the anger. Other things that we can help the person with anger, breathing. Breathing techniques can help a lot with anxiety, with depression, with physical help, because usually with certain ways of breathing, we are activating a system in our body called parasympathetic system. Usually the fight or flight reflex in us work on a system called sympathetic. That with the adrenaline, when you see somebody very angry, with the adrenaline to help the muscles, to help the eyes in the situation of a threat, to survive. So the adrenaline and the sympathetic system is overworking at the time of anger. So if I can physically and intentionally help the parasympathetic, which is the relaxation, okay, the la mubalah, just I don't care system, okay, in our body, that can help to neutralize to some degree the anger with breathing techniques. The most effective breathing techniques is the box breathing. 4 seconds to inhale, like in 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you exhale in 4 seconds, and you hold for 4 seconds. So you are slowing your breathing, you are activating the parasympathetic, you are automatically decreasing the adrenaline and inhibiting the sympathetic system. So breathing techniques can help. If somebody has pattern of anger, can be very helpful. Fourth or fifth thing is setting boundaries. If the anger is at home or at work or with a friend, trying to set boundaries with that person by saying, for example, I would like to discuss the issue, but when you are not yelling. Okay? We can choose time and talk about it, but going in a matching, yelling back with the person who is angry actually escalate the anger more and more. So if you notice someone at home or your children, like your spouse or your children, having this problem, try to avoid talking back loudly or yelling back at them. But if you have some control, try to set boundaries. With this way, you are not really agreeing with the anger, you are not submitting to the demands that he's yelling about, and trying to help that person with emotional regulation. So let's review again. Number one, validating their emotions. Like, I hear you, you must have a long day, you must have a rough time. I do understand, I am hearing you. So this is number one. Number two, to help them identify the triggers. And also that applies to us too. If we have anger problems, we can, after the fact, because sometimes it is too late to do something when the ignition goes with the anger, but after the fact, you can apply those things to yourself too. So validating the emotions is very important. Identifying the triggers, as we said, sometimes it could be a physical, could be taking everything personal, couldn't be some problem with controlling and trying to be perfect in everything. رابع حاجة, third thing we said about the breathing techniques, and fourth thing is setting boundaries. Fifth thing, very, very important and very practical, simple practice can help tremendously. We use it a lot in therapy, called cognitive behavioral therapy. That's, I think, out of everything you take home with this is this practice. It doesn't take time at all. After the fact, after the person is angry and yelling and screaming and so, try to challenge the thoughts. We usually don't do anything or don't feel anything unless there is certain thoughts in our head. And we call these thoughts automatic thoughts. It is like reflex, okay? So after the situation or the trigger and the anger, try to sit down and ask the person. We usually say, like, make 5 columns, okay? First column, you write the situation. Second column, you put the automatic thinking. Third column, you say the feeling, how that thinking made you feel, okay? So this is like writing down the problem. The fourth one, try to challenge the automatic thoughts. And I will give you example to make it simple, but we need to remember those things. We can put it on a paper. And the fifth thing is, how would be the feeling after the thinking? So you need to remember that feelings always precede the thinking precedes the feelings. So the anger is a feeling and always preceded by thinking. So we'll write the situation. For example, you send a text to somebody and you did not get a response, a reply. So that's the situation. Let's talk about the thinking, the automatic thinking. What are you usually thinking? The first thing that comes to your mind. I am being ignored. Logical or not logical? When you send text to somebody and the reply is delayed, you might think the automatic one is that I am ignored. So if I'm ignored, I am taking it personally. And what that would make me feel? Disrespected, angry, disappointed, frustrated. Those are feelings. So the thinking that he ignored me, okay? So the automatic thinking ignored, the feeling, anger, disappointed, frustrated, okay? So those are the first 3 things happen automatically, okay? Those, you don't have much control over it. So after the fact, you sit down and you write those 3. And you try to challenge the automatic thinking. Could it be for another reason than ignoring me? Could it be that the person was busy having a meeting, got distracted? Because if I am thinking this way, I would not be happy and excited, but at least I would not be as angry when I challenge the thinking. Same thing at home. If you say good morning to your spouse and the spouse does not answer because something in her mind or his mind, and you feel, oh, he's mad at me or she is mad at me, that's automatic thinking. And the feeling is, what did I do? I take it personally. Okay, I did something wrong, he's mad at me or ignoring me. okay? So I need to challenge that. Maybe didn't sleep well, maybe something in her mind or his mind, okay? Once I challenge that, the feeling automatically will be a little bit neutral, okay? As long as I'm not taking it personally and having logical explanation of the situation than the automatic thinking. And that actually causes a lot of problems in the communications, because everyone, the ego, and take it personally, and it goes on that dominoes effect. Thinking, bad feelings, bad communications, anger, and destruction for yourself and for others. So that anger or the depression or the anxiety not affecting only you, like the physical problem. If you have high blood pressure or you have diabetes, you are affected by it, okay? It is painful or affecting your health, but anything psychiatrically or emotionally affect you and the whole family or everyone around you get affected. So when you are trying to take good care of yourself, self-care, okay, addressing the anger, addressing depression, addressing anxiety, addressing what is going on with you, you are helping yourself and helping the people around you. So that cognitive behavioral therapy, this situation, automatic thinking and feelings, recognizing it and give it a name, okay? Very important also to give the feeling a name, okay? Help the brain to process it better. I am angry, no, I'm frustrated, I am disappointed, I feel ignored, whatever it is. Give it a name, proper name, can help the brain process it better. Other things that we usually ignore is our physical health. If you are doing some exercise every day, the exercise can go a long way helping your mental and physical. Nowadays, everything about self-care, you would hear those things. Exercise and sleep and proper dieting. Not for losing weight, but not necessarily for losing weight, but to help, because the body and the mind are so connected together. If we are taking care of our body physically with proper sleep, sleep is very, very important, because that's when you recharge your brain. Exercise is very, very important for the body to produce the proper hormones to help you, proper chemicals to help you, keep you healthy, because if you are sick physically, can affect your mood, affect your interaction with people. So the connection between the body and the mind is very, very important. Breathing also is very important with a lot of things. Breathing can help with anxiety, help improving lung health and heart health and oxygenation for the brain. Okay. Proper dieting, avoid processed food, avoid too much caffeine, avoid energy drinks, avoid alcohol, avoid too much starch, too much carb. So just eating healthy, exercising, sleeping well, taking good care of yourself can help physically and mentally, and also the people around you. Also, I want to talk briefly about skills of communications, especially when there is a lot of friction and tension, either at home or at work or with friend groups. So I want to spend some time about like good tips to help with communication. If there is some friction with anger and stuff like that, so try to choose the right time and the right tone to address the problem. Be smart not to discuss very important things during after work. Patient is exhausted, tired. Try to give time for that person to rest and in a good mood, and then you bring it the issue that you want to discuss. If it is really a sticky issue or something very important, so try to choose the time, try to choose the tone of talking, try to avoid criticism of the character. Okay, you never listen to me, for example. That's kind of attack. Okay, you rather say, I feel unheard when I get interrupted. Instead of you, don't I feel unheard when I'm interrupted. It's the same message, but selecting the words and the tone and how you deliver it can make a big difference. Okay, so choose the word and choose the time and the tone. Also try to listen with empathy. Listen with like focusing to the complaint, or when the other person is talking that you are discussing something with, listen and try to repeat to them what they have said and tell him, if I understand correct, you said such and such and such. That will make the person feel like he was heard and the point came across and clear. Okay? Try to stick to one issue at a time. If there's a problem between spouses, try to bring one thing to discuss at a time, not to branch. Oh, last week you did, the week before you did, you remember this, I would never forgive you. But try to stick at one point, and if the person is trying to branch, try to bring them to the one issue that you are discussing. Avoid harsh criticism of the character of the person. And don't use words like you are always, you never, or you are a failure, you are very emotional person, you are very angry all the time. So try to avoid those words so you gain the person to your side instead of just attacking. Other helpful things is, when we call it for ourselves or for the person we are trying to help, is mindfulness. And I think I gave one lecture before about mindfulness. Mindfulness also is very important for self-care. It is بالضبط كده يعني ايه زي الخلوة. تاخد خلوة في خلال اليوم وتبقى جميلة قوي، يعني لو بس 3-4 دقايق أو 5 minutes twice a day, that you are clearing your head from the automatic thinking, because our brain is working 24/7. Even when we are sleeping, our brain is working. So mindfulness, the whole idea about it is that you would have some control over the subconscious brain that is working. The subconscious brain is الحصالة الكبيرة اللي بتحط فيها كل الخبرات، كل التجارب، كل الحاجات الحلوة والوحشة. How you see yourself, the inner dialogue about yourself, between you and yourself. Like even when we are sitting here, your brain is not with me 100%. Your brain is what is at home, what I'm going to do after the meeting, what I'm going to ask, what is this, what is that. That's normal, okay? That's the subconscious working all the time, okay? So The mindfulness is you try to stop that machine that is working 24 hours in many, many things at the same time, to try to focus on one thing for 3 minutes, 5 minutes. It is not easy. I say it sounds easy, but to try to do it needs a lot of practice and need time to really master it. But once you master this, the mindfulness, you would have a 90% control over your emotions, about your thinking and your reaction. It helps a lot if you are really getting into mindfulness, because it will give you time to pause before you react. Yes. اوكي زي ما انا بقول مثلا زي الخلوه اوكي المايندفولنس ديت you are trying to focus on one thing. For example, you can use music and you think of a trip that you had, remember good thing or dream of one thing, but not to branch. That's the whole idea, is to only focus on one thing. You can focus on a picture, or you can focus on ترنيمة معينة, or your relation with God, or how to be in gratitude, how to be thankful. I can be thankful about one thing and one thing only. What is it? And try how to improve it, or how to be thankful to God, how God was great to me to give me this. One thing only. That's the whole thing. If you branch, that's not mindfulness. Okay? So that's, and there is a lot of resources on the internet to help us with mindfulness. There's plenty of ways to help you with mindfulness, but would help you to not overreact and let it go. Okay? Last tip I want to tell you is try to limit social media. Okay. Social media is, again, feeding into a lot, even though you think it is just entertainment and stuff like that. Everything you watch or you hear is affecting your subconscious. 97% of any decisions you make or any reaction already predetermined by the subconscious. Okay, so even you think it is just for entertainment or so, if you are watching a lot of negative things and you are comparing yourself to other people and so, it is building up inside your brain and it will come out one way or another. So try to limit that, and try when you listen or so, try to listen to something good. The news now, every news is negative, because if it is positive, would not make it to the news. Okay, it is all about the negativities and trying to exaggerate the thing. And if you listen to one thing, they will know that you are listening to this. They will feed into this and strengthen your thinking about it, and that's all what you are going to think about. That will make you narrow-minded. Okay, so try to avoid social media as much as you can, or at least limit it. Okay. All right. I think 30 minutes. So questions?
Thank you, Doctor. Questions?
Thank you for the wonderful talk. I do have can you please repeat the steps for if I heard you right, you said cognitive behavior therapy?
Yeah, the character. No, don't attack the. No.
Cognitive. Okay.
Oh, cognitive behavior. Yes. Okay. So let me emphasize. Like I said, a lot of things, but those are the most important things to take home. Is the cognitive behavioral therapy, validating the person's feelings too. So let me talk again about cognitive behavior. You mean the 5 things that I mentioned? The how to practice cognitive behavioral therapy?
You mentioned that if you get angry, challenge
The thoughts.
the thoughts, and then you went through like steps, but I didn't
Okay.
catch any of it.
All right. So the first thing to write down is writing down the situation. And I give example of you send a text message and you didn't get the reply quickly, or you said good morning to someone and the person did not answer back. Okay? So that is the situation. You write it down. Okay? You write down the automatic thinking, the thoughts that came to your mind when that situation happened. I felt ignored, or that person is mad at me, or that person is disrespecting me. Okay? So that's the automatic thinking. You write down the feeling after that. The feeling would be I am mad, I am angry, I am frustrated, I feel very disrespected. So those 3 things happen automatically. Trigger is the situation, okay? And then I go back and try to challenge that automatic thinking, because my goal is to correct the automatic thinking. So I would say, how can I explain the situation in a more logical way, or give it more options? What could be explaining that situation? Okay, that person could be in a meeting, that person could be busy or having a lot on his mind, and it doesn't have to do something with me. Because again, I said, take things personally. The person who has quick to have that negative feelings and the negative thinking usually take everything personally. So challenging the automatic thinking would help to neutralize the feeling, because I said you never feel unless there is a thought in your head. And that goes with the positive and negative, okay? When you are happy, there are happy thinking in your head. You are optimistic about something, or you got a good news, so you feel happy. You feel angry if you are thinking negatively, okay? So challenging the thinking that led to the negative feelings will neutralize the feeling to some degree. You got it, or? Okay.
Just to follow on to that, so we're looking for alternative situation that could have happened to that, but then maybe I'm thinking out loud here, how do you separate that from being passive? For example, someone intentionally is trying to hurt you, then you have to kind of take evasive steps to stay away from that, or stay away from that situation, or the purpose, or the person, or whatever it is. Protect yourself, protect others. Then when do you say, yeah, there was no alternative situation here, I need to step away, or I need to, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but here is the thing. That is only the negative thinking is affecting you, okay? Not affecting the person. When you are angry and frustrated, it is affecting you, as I mentioned, impacting your physical and mental health. You are going home with that in your mind. You are not going to be able to focus on other things. But if it is intentionally over and over and over, and it is very, very obvious, you definitely need to take action to protect yourself. I'm not saying, I'm just trying to make your mind to be open-minded. It could be intentional and it could be non-intentional, okay? If it is repetitive over and over and over, okay, and it's very obvious, of course, it is intentional and you have to take steps to protect yourself or to address the situation, okay? But if you are going to be narrow-minded and it is only to ignore me all the time, that's not healthy for you. You are narrow-minded. You are not going to be able to correct that anger. Okay, but again, if you are able to think through the situation, taking proper steps, okay, so you are not letting it brewing in your head to upset you. You are taking actions, and probably the action would be proper to protect you. So just having many explanations to the same situation would help you to find out. Because by time, like next time or so, he did not ignore you. But if you took it as ignoring me, and you fly with it, you are going to distance yourself completely from it. But if you give it another chance, you might keep the relationship, and it was just something you should not have reacted to it, right? Okay. Yeah.
But the question he was trying to ask you is, if someone's trying to bother you on purpose, they're trying to cause harm to you mentally. How do you differentiate the fact that someone is trying to harm you on purpose versus, oh, this is just a one-time?
How you would be sure?
Yeah.
So we need to give it a chance after a chance, because if you are just going to fly with it from the first time, okay, you are going to be angry and your reaction might be negative and you are going to lose. But if you are able to step back and think about it and give it time, your reaction might be more proper than if you just took the first automatic thinking that he's ignoring you, and he might not be ignoring you. Right? So you give it another chance and the third chance, and you see if it is really repetitive, okay, you might take action and say, I might address the situation, might phone call or what is going on in a nice way, might solve the problem. Then if you are angry and addressing the problem with anger, you are losing. So it is another way of protecting you, because again, we don't want that fight or flight reflex to be floating in your head all the time, and it is affecting you, not affecting that person. So you are losing. Okay. Any other question?
More of a statement, he said to look up on mindfulness. He said to look up things online. There's plenty of mindfulness. Thanks to you, I was introduced to mindfulness several years ago, and I did look up a lot of things. I do humbly cautious that there's a lot of pantheism associated with mindfulness that is more of worshiping things, worshiping creations. There's a lot of it online, and they do associate a lot with it. So I would say there's an aspect of Christian mindfulness that is, or just scientific mindfulness that is not disassociated from the stuff that's online. That's in plethora.
That's a very good point you brought up. Of course, with our background, we are not really. We have the mind and our attachment to the church, and we know what is really like. There's yoga things and other things that really drift away from the purpose. But if you understand the main principle of mindfulness and you apply it, I said you might think of a ternima or be gratitude to God and stuff. So you are taking your background from the church and trying to utilize it to see which one is proper. And of course, anything you search, not only on the mindfulness, anything that if you are not really investigating it and seeing which one really applies to you and which one does not apply to you, you are going to get lost. But Of course, you need to be aware of other things that can impact you negatively, but there are also some Christian websites and the Christian resources that can help you with mindfulness. And the one that is really good about that is TED Talk. Sometimes they are really giving good practical points to help you with mindfulness. And you have that زي ما بقول يعني أحسن, the best thing is الخلوة. Just think of one verse or a ternima or one, but the main thing is one thing, not to branch to several things. That's the main principle of the mindfulness. If your mind try to branch to anything, try to bring it back. And it is going to take a lot of practice. It is not just easier said than done. Okay, but a lot of practice can help you to control your thoughts and would be on demand. That, for example, with the anger and the emotions is going and the bad negative thinking, and if you remember mindfulness and try to apply it, you would have much better control of that than somebody who doesn't have anything to do with mindfulness. Okay? Thank you. All right. Yes. Yes.
In regard to the cycle of depression and anger, one of the common things that, at least what I see, a constant cycle of overwhelmness in the home. So the husband is always working hard just to make ends meet for the family.
Mm-hmm.
The wife's also working and the raising of the kids and a lot of demands from the kids. And it keeps going in a cycle and it seems endless. And I think, like, if I understand you, what you were saying earlier, those cortisol is being run all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of burnout and tiredness and frustration. And then, because it's kind of a constant cycle, it seems like it's never going to end.
Yes.
Which I'm assuming it's going to affect the mind to think.
Yes, and also affecting every aspect. The mind, how the mind going to communicate with the rest of the family, and would be a lot of tension, and that would make things worse and would be a vicious cycle.
What would you advise when a couple is like this, in this kind of vicious cycle of and it's almost like subconsciously, I have no choice.
Mm-hmm.
I have to work. I have to do the kids' needs. It seems endless.
Yes.
You know, some of it may be legitimate because some people don't have the, let's say, financial circumstances. You know, they literally have to live
Paycheck to paycheck.
paycheck.
Yes.
And maybe none of their own doing, it's just life circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, if we can find better ways, but what can, and if someone's in a situation,
How
they
to?
can't- what can they do to help themselves while they are in this, so
Okay.
it doesn't affect
Okay.
their mind and they get depressed and get angry and.
Yes. That's a very, very common problem. And even with people who are financially okay, they are still having that problem. I think the core problem here is that the convenience and the mindset that going on right now, we have to do a lot for our kids because our kids are looking at others and looking at social media, and their demands and their request never ends. And we feel like we would be failing if we are not fulfilling those demands. So first thing, I think that two people need, the husband and wife need to sit down and recognize the problem, that it is endless if they are going to try to chase satisfying your kids or satisfying the needs, because it will never end. So they really need to sit down together and recognize and be aware of the problem. Anything that is going like that, we have a lot of clutters in our brain, and when we are in it, we are not seeing. We are like going and going and going, and we are not aware of it, but we are in the routine and trying to satisfy, and the kids or the spouse might be satisfied for the moment that you are giving them the thing, but the second day there is another demand, another request, another thing. So first thing is make aware of the problem and try to focus on the priorities. The priorities now, if we put self-care first for every one of us and for the family, self-care, quality over quantity. Quality of time for me, for my family, instead of working hard, being there, not just body, but mind and body there with the family. Definitely reading the Bible together, even for 5 minutes, it can make a miracle in the house. Okay, together. The gathering together can really very helpful. But we need to put those priorities, that self-care and attention when you are with the family, and give it really quality time with the family, and emphasize that the family is number one, between the brother and sisters, the siblings, and between the father and mother together. And we need to teach each other and remind each other it is not necessarily to be conforming to everybody around us as much as we conform it to ourselves and our principles and our priorities and our church. So we have to sit together, put up, first of all, awareness of the problem and prioritizing the more important things, which is the quality and the self-care for the parents who are overworking, how make time for the family and limit the demands, so we would have better living and be happy and be gratitude, be very thankful for whatever we have, and not comparing. The main problem is comparing ourselves to others. The kids are looking at other friends. The wife is looking for other people in her circle. And the father and the mother are trying to really spin their wheels to provide. But if they are not really working as a team and making priorities for the quality and the self-care, I think the most important thing for us now is the self-care for myself and how to be effective communicator with the people around us, because that can help a lot, alleviate a lot of problems, help with the communications. But it is the convenience and the mindset that we have to please the kids instead of discipline and having to help them to learn, taking accountabilities and responsibilities. We are trying to overcompensate from our parents and to our children, and whatever we didn't have as when we were children, to overcompensate is really hurting the kids. And as you see, the generation after generation, it is getting worse and worse, being entitled, not thankful, not appreciating what they have. They are all after the material things. So it is a problem as a society in general. Convenience, comparing, competing. So they really need to be aware and prioritize the self-care and the quality time as a family. I hope I addressed it. Okay, Thank you. Right. Any other questions? Sure.
Is short-temperedness or like the constant anger, is it a genetic thing? Like, can it go from the parents to the kids or grandkids?
It is both. There is the question is about the short temper, the person who are always snapping and angry and so. So every kids, every sorry about that. So every child is born with like the features of the face, the height, the color of the eyes. They are born also with temperaments. Those temperaments like determine the personality. Between that temperaments and between with the interaction between those temperaments, which is every child is born with, and the interaction with the society from parents, teachers, friends, that form the personality. So there is part genetics. They are born with genetics for characters, for temperaments. Okay, so some kids, like you have 4 or 5 kids, 1, 2, or 3 or 4 are very calm temperaments, and one of them is really bad temperaments. Okay, so some part of it is genetic because they take genetics from the personality of the parents too, genetics prints, and other part is the environment. Okay, and certain illnesses start to manifest at certain age. Okay, so they might, for certain diagnoses like bipolar, who has bad temper, and ADHD and all that stuff, can start manifest at certain age. So it can be genetics, and it can, which determine some illnesses or the personality. So the environment and the genetics together can determine that. And of course, if there is a problem, like mental illness problem, beyond what I talked about here, that it is really causing a disorder, that this person, you cannot talk to them. They are storming all the time, they are overreacting, they are breaking things, throwing things on the floor. So that's beyond what I talked about. That would need serious professional help. That's why we call it disorder. Disorder affecting the function of that person. So if it is really causing severe disturbances, so that need some medication, need therapy, and sometimes need hospitalization in a psychiatric facility. So. All right. تفضلي.
Teenager and the young adults, like they are using now the word like, oh, I'm going through a depression, or that depressed me, so casually to the point like it scares me, like and how is that can be connected to actual depression, like the use of this word?
If they have the signs of depression, not just saying it, the signs of depression, you would see it, they are very withdrawn. There is a change in them, okay? No motivation to do things. Their grades are deteriorating. They are having disturbance in sleep. disturbance in appetite. They are snapping more and more, very irritable. That's why we said anger sometimes can be a sign of depression. That's why we're connecting them together. So if you see significant changes, grades in school, more withdrawn, neglecting hygiene, not showering, not bathing, not brushing teeth, not dressed well. So those are the signs of depression that you can pick on, and that need serious help, professional help. If they are talking frequently, I rather die seriously, not just to get a reaction from you. Some kids use that just to manipulate, okay? But if it is connected to those other signs that you see great disturbance in hygiene, sleep, appetite, either they overeat or they don't eat, hygiene, isolation, lack of motivation, a change. He likes to do activities and go out with a friend and no more that. That's very big signs of depression. And it stays with them for a week or more, like usually 2 weeks to be diagnosed, but if it is a week or more, that's... Sorry? If it is real depression, it can, but less likely. If it is situational things happen at the school that is affecting them and they are on the downside for a couple of days, 3 days or whatever, and they snap out of it, much easier if it is situational thing. But if it is like poor self-esteem with significant disturbance in the functioning, school, home, friends, isolation or stuff like that, it is hard to snap out of by themselves. Okay, but the tips that can help you is also validating their feeling. Try to listen to them. Okay, try to give them a little things to do, like if you are asking them to do chores at home, instead of, for example, wash the dishes, ask them to just clean the counter or to wake up 5 minutes early. It's a very simple thing for them to do. If they can do it, that will improve their self-esteem, give them a good feeling of achievement, and praise that, yes. But for themselves too, without you praising them, if they are able to do small things that help their self-esteem internally, they feel winning, they feel they can do, and they are likely to do more and more. So try to make it simple for them if you see the signs of depression with them. All right. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna start this behind a few minutes, I guess.